Close your eyes for a moment and imagine you are standing in a very large, very beautiful room. The air is filled with the sweet smell of fresh flowers and the sound of soft music playing in the background. For me, this was my 15th wedding anniversary. It was a day that was supposed to be the happiest time of my whole life. If a friend had come up to me and said that my marriage would break apart right in front of 200 people that night, I would have laughed and thought they were making a joke. But that is exactly what happened to me. I was standing in a very fancy ballroom that looked out over the dark water of the Chicago River. I was holding a glass of cold, bubbly juice in my hand. I felt nervous but happy because I was ready to give a speech to celebrate 15 long years of life with my wife, Emily. I had spent many weeks planning every tiny part of this party. I wanted everything to be perfect. I wanted Emily to feel deep in her heart just how much I loved her. To be honest, we had been feeling a bit far apart lately. It felt like there was an invisible wall between us, and I thought this big party would be the thing to bring us back together and make us feel like a team again. But then, the music changed to a different song. Emily looked right into my eyes. She gave me a very soft, kind smile, but then she did something I never expected in a million years. She walked right past me. Instead of taking my hand to dance with me, she went into the arms of a tall man I did not know. He was wearing a very nice black suit. He held her very close, and she laughed a happy laugh. They looked like two people who were the only ones in the whole wide world. Everyone standing around us started to clap their hands. They thought it was just a special surprise dance I had planned for her. My heart felt like it was breaking into tiny pieces. I slowly took off my gold wedding ring and put it on the table next to our big anniversary cake. I walked out of the room quietly. I felt like the person I trusted most in the world had just hurt me in the worst way possible. The air outside in the city of Chicago was very cold, but it did not help me feel any better. I felt like a dark storm was blowing inside my chest. As I walked to my big truck, my phone made a noise 3 times. I saw Emily's name on the screen over and over again. I just could not talk to her right then. For a long time, I had noticed things that felt very strange at home. She had been staying very late at her busy office where they make ads for companies. She would look at her phone and smile, but she would never tell me what was so funny. She even put a new lock on her phone after many years of always letting me see it. Every time I asked if she was doing okay, she would just give me a sweet kiss on my forehead. She told me she was just very tired from working so hard. I wanted to believe her because our whole marriage was built on the idea of being honest with each other. As I drove away from the big hotel, I kept thinking one very sad thing. I wonder if everyone else in that room knew a secret that I did not know. I went to a tiny hotel across town and sat all alone in the dark. I thought about that dance over and over until the sun started to come up. Around 2 o'clock in the morning, my little sister Megan called me. Her voice sounded very shaky, like she had been crying for a long time. She asked me where I was and said Emily was looking for me everywhere and was very worried. I felt very angry and told her Emily should just go find that tall man she was dancing with. Megan was quiet for a second. Then she said that I did not see the whole story. Before I could ask her what she meant, she hung up the phone. A few minutes later, I got a message from a phone number I did not know. It was a picture. In the photo, Emily was hugging that same man behind the big stage. But this time, I saw something new and important. There was a wheelchair sitting right next to them with the man's name, Daniel, on it. I felt so confused. Why would a man who could dance so well need a wheelchair? I did not sleep at all that night. The next morning, I drove back to the ballroom. I needed to know the truth. The big room was empty and quiet now. A few workers were cleaning up the decorations I had spent all my savings on. One man saw me and gave me a small letter. He said my wife wanted me to have it if I left the party early. I opened it and saw Emily's neat writing. The letter said that if I was reading this, things had gone very wrong. She asked me not to make any big choices until I found out who the man, Daniel, really was. She said she never, ever wanted to hurt me. My hands were shaking like leaves as I read her words. If she was not cheating on me, why did she let me feel so embarrassed in front of all our friends? I finally found Emily sitting on a wooden bench outside a special building where people go to get strong after being hurt. Her eyes were red and puffy from crying. She looked very, very sad. She told me I deserved to know the whole truth, even if I was still very mad at her. She told me that Daniel was not a secret boyfriend. He was actually the best friend of her older brother. Her brother had died in a very bad car crash 15 years ago, just before Emily and I first met. Daniel was the only person who lived through that scary crash. He had been hurt very badly and spent many years trying to get his body to work again. He had just found out from his doctors that he would not be able to walk much longer. His one big wish was to have one last dance to remember the people they had lost so long ago. Emily kept it a secret because she wanted to surprise everyone with a beautiful tribute to her brother. She never thought about how it would look to me from the outside. That explained the dance. But I still had one more big question. I asked her why she had been so quiet and far away for the last few months. Emily looked down at her feet and finally told me the biggest secret of all. She was not trying to hide a boyfriend. She was trying to hide her own fear. During a checkup, the doctors found a big problem with her heart. She might need a very big surgery. She went to all her doctor visits all by herself because she did not want me to worry. I was already working so many extra hours to keep our small business running, and she did not want to add to my stress. She thought that if she carried the scary news by herself, it would save me from feeling sad. But the late nights, the hidden phone calls, and the secret messages were all about doctors and paperwork for insurance. She was also talking to Daniel to plan that one special dance. She thought she was being brave, but instead, she almost lost our marriage. I stood there feeling very, very sorry. I felt bad that I stopped trusting her so quickly. Emily was also very sorry. She knew she should have told me the truth months ago instead of trying to control everything on her own. Secrets, even when we mean to be kind, can act like a big wall between two people. I told her I was sorry for walking away, and she told me she was sorry for locking me out of her life. We both knew that not talking to each other was the real problem all along. Daniel came over to us with tears in his eyes. He shook my hand and thanked me for listening to the story. I realized then that the scary thing in our marriage was not another person. It was the silence between us that had grown so big. 6 months later, Emily had her heart surgery, and it went very well. Our marriage feels different now, but it feels different in a very good way. We want to talk to a kind person who helps couples learn how to speak from the heart. We learned how to have hard conversations instead of just staying quiet. We fixed the trust that the secrets had broken. I still have the photo from our anniversary. It used to make me feel hurt and angry, but now it reminds me always ask questions before I get scared. Daniel is still working very hard to get stronger, and every Christmas, he sends us a very nice card. He always thanks us for being his friends during a hard time in his life. Looking back, I know why I walked out that night. Any husband would have felt that same way. But I also learned that what we see with our eyes is not always the whole story. Sometimes the hardest part of love is not just forgiving someone. It is having the courage to find the truth before you give up forever. Talking to each other is like a bridge that keeps us safe and close together.